Before we start, a few housekeeping matters I wish to share with all of you. The shoe contest, in which many of you may have entered, I won that. Only I didn't really, but I thought if I announced that I won, maybe it would mean that I won because I'm wearing Looney Tunes high tops, and I think I probably should win. Number two, I understand the signage all says 40 years. I refuse, however, to accept that 1984 was 40 years ago, because that would mean we're 40 years older, and I'm just not buying that. So whoever did the 40-year signage, I am thrilled to be here with you, and to be with the women on this panel is phenomenal. We have with us today Julie Uhrman, Alyssa Thompson, and Gisele Thompson. I could go on and on and on about these women at length, but that would take all the time that we have for this panel. So instead,
I have a game on Sunday.
Julie is, of course, the co-founder and president of Angel City Football Club. I could list her accomplishments, but as I noted, if I listed all the awards and honors, it would take all the time allotted for the session. I will note that in 2023, Julie was named the SBJ Game Changer, and a game changer you are, Julie. Not surprisingly, that same year, Angel City was named Sports Team of the Year, the first ever women's team to win this award. I have the tremendous pleasure of serving with Julie on the advisory board of the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission, and I have thus experienced her game-changing approach firsthand. Alyssa Thompson and Gisele Thompson play for Angel City. Alyssa was the first teenager in almost 30 years to compete for the United States at a World Cup. In 2023, she was drafted #1 overall, the youngest player drafted in NWSL history. She also helped the United States win a gold medal at the 2022 U20 Women's World Cup. Apparently the microphone needs to be closer to my mouth. He didn't get the message that people tell me I speak too loudly anyway. Gisele Thompson also plays for Angel City, and she too has a long list of accomplishments, including considerable work with national youth teams. Gisele recently competed with Total Football Academy and MLS Next Boys team. Now, Alyssa and Gisele, I will share with you a note about your tremendous accomplishments as teenagers. When I was your age, I could barely make it to the bus stop on time. And that is not an exaggeration. But you have found a way to accomplish high school and everything else at the same time, and I could barely accomplish high school. So thank you for showing others how it is done. And I'm not kidding about the not being able to get to the school bus on time. All right. All three of you are in many ways redefining soccer, and beyond that, you are reshaping women's sports. I will start with a question for each of you and then ask you to add anything you wish to that. And should we have any time, I'm going to turn it over to all of you to pose any questions that may be of interest. I just don't know if we'll have time. Julie, starting with you. The list of innovations you have implemented is long. What are the changes you have made to soccer and sports as a whole that you believe are the most significant, will be the most lasting, and have the broadest impact? And how come my feet are the only ones that don't reach the floor sitting back in this chair?
But I appreciate the softball question. I think what's been most innovative for us is our business model. We didn't approach Angel City to build a team in a city. We didn't approach Angel City to win championships and get a ring exclusively. We built Angel City to really use sport as a way to drive towards equity, real gender equity, pay equity, and we decided to commit day one to having a positive impact in the community, trying to raise the bar for our players and create an experience for our fans that they are used to when they go to the best sporting events in the world, where they don't have to say, well, that was a women's game, right? That they walk away from an Angel City game and saying, that was the most amazing experience game I've ever had, and I want to come back. So leading with purpose, I think, is what's been most innovative. It's driven our revenue. It's driven our connection with fans. It's driven our connection with sponsors. And it really would not have been possible without Renata Simrel, who we all here know and love. Very early on in the Angel City history, Natalie and I went and met with Natalie Portman, one of my co-founders. And we said, we want to lead with purpose, but we don't know what that means. We want to have impact in the community, but we don't know what the community needs. How do we do that? And she says, well, you went to the right place. And LA84 and the Play Equity Fund has been our partner since day one at Angel City, and it's allowed us to put $2.5 million to work in Los Angeles through our 10% sponsorship model. And it's because of those innovations and people like Renata and my incredible team that's here, Catherine and Chris, that we're able to have that impact and then be able to recruit these incredible athletes to help us win on the pitch.
Well, and I will note, and we can come back to this if we have the time, that what you have done with planning with purpose and making the decisions you have, many people didn't believe could yield to positive revenue, and yet you found a way to do what others have not done, which is do that, and yet excel with revenue as well. So you have created a template for other sports to follow. All right, women. Imagine I am handing each of you a magic wand. And with your magic wands, you can design the future of women's and girls' sports in whatever manner you wish. Now, either one of you can go first, but you each have a separate magic wand. It's not one wand, it's two wands. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Okay. If I had a magic wand, I would continue to grow women's sports. I know, like, a lot of the women have paved the way to where we are now, and just continuing to grow that. I think it's growing a lot because, you know, you could see it with ESPN playing all of the live videos for the NWSL, and I think it's so amazing, but I think it can continue to grow and just be, like, better than where it is right now.
Yeah, I think if I had a magic wand, I would want to make women's sports just as prevalent and relevant as men's sports. Like, in the US, you know the Lakers, you know the Dodgers. Like, not everyone right now knows who Angel City is, and I want that to be, like, the biggest thing in LA when I get this wand. That will be the biggest thing. Like, everyone will know Angel City, will know every single player, will be super invested in us, in women's sports, in just everything, and I want it to be also, like, around the world, like, not just in the US. And I think that comes from access to watching the games. Like, as Gisele said, some of our games are on ESPN now, which is great. I think I want, like, most of our games on ESPN. That's, like, or on a, like, live TV, and everyone being able to watch it and having access to it, and also pay equity. I think we could be so much better as women's sports, as you can see with the WNBA draft, with Caitlin Clark being the #1, and, like, with all, like, of our sports too, like, we don't get paid nearly as much as the men do, and I would love for that to be, like, the bottom for us, and we would just continue to grow.
Okay, well, yeah, please. All right, Julie, I'm going to turn to you now and ask you this. Given their magic wand desires, what are the challenges you perceive in achieving those goals about equality of women's and men's sports and pay equity and people immediately hearing, oh, look, there's a dog. Hi, pup. And people immediately hearing Los Angeles and thinking Angel City.
Yeah, so, I mean, to both our points, it's visibility, which has been a challenge, and then perception. There's been a perception that nobody watches women's sports, that women's sports aren't valuable, that women athletes aren't good as male athletes. And I think if you watch the NCAA women's tournament and you saw Caitlin Clark, you did not wish you were watching a man dunk a basketball. Right? I mean, you wanted her to shoot from the logo, and when she did and made it, you're like, oh my God, and then she makes it again, and you're like, oh my God, she is that good, right? And so it's getting visibility for these games so people can see how incredible these athletes are. It's giving and then changing the perception that everybody watches women's sports. Wasserman Collective came out with a statistic that said, today, 15% of all media coverage is on women's sports. When we started Angel City, it was 3%. So that's incredible growth, but we can't stop there. We have to keep going. So telling the story, doing these panels, coming out to our matches, bringing someone else out to the match is what we need to do to drive the perception, change the narrative, and then that will bring investment into the sport, and then ultimately investment to our players.
what would you two say, and I wasn't kidding when I said what you two have accomplished and are accomplishing at the age you are is just stupendous. You are balancing all the things that teenagers have to balance, which I balanced very poorly, and you are professional soccer players. What advice would you give to youngsters, whatever the grade, whatever the age, people who are coming up, who want to follow in your footsteps?
I would say that it's definitely not easy to get here. It's definitely gonna be a journey, but everyone's journey is different. Like, you could get to be a professional at the age we are, but you could also be a professional when you turn right out of college, like most people do, or earlier than us, like a lot of younger players are doing now. Everyone has a different journey, so I wouldn't get stuck on trying to copy someone else's like agenda or the exact way they did it, because everyone has a different way they're gonna get to where they want to be. And just like, if you really love soccer and you really love what you're doing, it's gonna be so much easier.
It's a very wise answer. What would you like to add to that?
No, I would definitely agree. I think it's really hard, especially comparing yourself to other people and having setbacks. I know a lot of people get injured and think they're not gonna be the best that they were before, or they think somebody's better than them and they're sitting on the bench. You can, like, it can get to your head a lot. And honestly, soccer is very mentally draining, which is really hard, but I think not letting it get to you and like having a support system, which was really easy for me because, you know, I had my family and Alyssa to go through my whole life with me. So I think it's really important to have like a support system and rely on the people that make you happy to support you and keep you going.
All right, we have only a couple of minutes left, but I did want to take one question at least from someone in the audience. Does anyone have a question? If so, I know you don't have microphones, so if someone raises a hand if they have a question, I will call upon you. You will have to stand up and be very loud and direct the question to whomever you wish. Is there anyone that has a question? Okay, right back there. Really loud, please. Well, I'm going to actually answer that first and then turn it over to them. I don't think it's a superpower. I am not scared to ask for assistance when I need it, and I am not hesitant to say I made a mistake when I made it and look to my teammates to help me fix it.
That's a superpower. Mine's passion. So passionately believe in Angel City and what we're building, and that's will drive me through the nose, that'll push me through the walls, that'll make me find a way to make it happen.
I think my superpower is my determination and kind of like stubbornness. I think when I put my mind to something, I want to do it, and no matter what happens, like I'm doing that thing no matter what, and if it doesn't happen, I'm upset and I'm trying again, but I'm so determined to be in the positions that I want to be and be successful and like be the best at anything I do.
I think for me, it would be how calm I am. Like, I feel like in really hard situations, I try to chill myself out, because if I get too hard on myself, which happens a lot, I can like overthink a lot. So I think just being really calm.
Well, in our last 30 seconds here, I will share with you that sometimes being stubborn can be a very, very, very good thing. And I've always found throughout my life that the best way to get me to do anything is to tell me I can't. You want me to do something? Tell me I can't do it. I'm going to do it. And that's both in the sense of you can't because you're not capable, and you can't because you're not allowed. So with that, thank you very, very much. Julie, Alyssa, Gisele, tremendous, tremendous women who are leading this community in so many ways.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, beautiful people.